The private sector has expressed concern that the ongoing process to amend the 2007 Constitution will hurt domestic and international business confidence in Thailand. According to leaders of the Board of Trade and Federation of Thai Industries, the process, which started yesterday, could lead to an escalation of political tensions between proponents of the charter change and those who oppose it. Chalerm Yubamrung, deputy leader of the ruling Pheu Thai party, said during the February 21 to 22 mobile cabinet meeting in the northeastern province of Udon Thani that if the charter amendment process is completed, fugitive ex-premier Thaksin Shinawatra will be brought home. Meanwhile, the People's Alliance for Democracy, or PAD, which opposed the charter change, has scheduled a mass rally on March the 10th. Satchai Bunyarat, the vice chairman of Board of Trade, said the looming confrontation is becoming a key risk for the private sector. The government, he said, should focus on solving the economic problems and preparing flood prevention schemes. He said that political stability is key to an economic recovery and the government should try to avoid risks resulting from political confrontation. Somchai Pornratcharoen, president of the Thai Retailers Association, said fugitive ex-premier Thaksin may return to Thailand, but there could be political turmoil if there is a strong opposition. The situation will impact the country's economy, which is already slowing down due to the start of charter amendment. Thanit Sorat, vice chairman of the Federation of Thai Industries, said Thai and foreign investor confidence will be hit hard by the growing political uncertainties. Sources in the exporter sector who deal with foreign buyers also have expressed concern that the charter change would impact foreign buyers' confidence, as many have inquired about the issue.
And still on the same issue, parliamentarians took as much as 2 hours to decide whether the debate on charter amendment should be delayed yesterday, and it is decided that debate will be postponed. The opposition has been encouraging the government to hold back on the deliberation until drafts proposed by civic groups are ready for consideration, since the signatures are still being verified. Yet the parliamentarians voted 341 against 181 to deliberate the drafts proposed by the cabinet, Pheu Thai and Chart Thai Pathana parties yesterday. Deputy Prime Minister Chalerm Yubamrung, who presented the government's draft to the meeting, defended Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawat's decision to not expedite charter amendments, saying the lengthy process cannot be changed. Chalerm guaranteed that Article 112 of the Penal Code will not be changed and nobody will be protected. Chalerm also asked parliamentarians to not start questioning the amendments because the Constitution Drafting Assembly, or CDA, will draft the laws. The proposed change to the Constitution's Article 291 states that CDA will comprise 99 members, of whom 77 will be elected provincial representatives, while the remaining 22 will come from law, political science, or the political field, or those who already have experience with charter drafting. In response to arguments that there might be a hidden agenda to the charter amendment, he said the ruling Pheu Thai party had not made no secret of its plan to amend the Constitution, which was sponsored by the 2006 coup makers. As for the alleged plot to bring former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra back, Chalerm said that was a separate mission. Meanwhile, Chart Thai Pathana Party leader Chumpon Silapa Acha, who is contending for a seat in the CDA, said amendments were necessary because there were too many differences between the 1997 and 2007 charters. Chumpon is bitter because his previous party, Chart Thai, was dissolved under the current Constitution's Article 237, which states that a political party and executives will be penalized if an executive is found cheating in the elections.
From the update on Wednesday, with the two executives decreed confirmed by the Constitution Court. We have been hearing constantly from the Bank of Thailand, from Dr. Prasan, and as well as Kun Phaiboon Kitti Srikanwan, the Assistant Governor of Bank of Thailand, has urged the government to gradually reduce the fiscal deficits over the next 4 to 5 years so that the public debts do not reach the dangerous level of 60% of the GDP. The country's public debts are currently about 40% of GDP, and if budget deficits continue to be 3 to 4% of the GDP in the coming years, the overall public debts will become too high to be sustainable. In his opinion, public spending in mega infrastructure projects is necessary, but the government also has to consider the long-term impacts of rising fiscal deficits resulting from heavy borrowing by the government. For example, he said the government has prepared a 2013 budget deficit of 300 billion baht compared to the last year's deficit of 400 billion baht. But there is also an executive decree issued by the government to borrow another 350 billion baht. Assuming that 175 billion baht, or half of this amount, will be spent by the government in the fiscal 2013, the country's overall deficit will be 300 billion baht plus the 175, or a total of 475 billion baht, which is relatively high according to Phaiboon.
The losses from the Thai floods have spread out among reinsurers from Japan, Thai reinsurance, and European reinsurers, which are likely to charge higher insurance rates, according to a report of JP Morgan issued today. In its survey, JP Morgan has found that Japan insurers, Thai reinsurance, European reinsurers, Lloyd's of London, Bermuda and U.S.-listed companies and others have all taken a bit hit from the losses from the Thai floods. Our conclusion is that the loss is relatively widely spread. Most major insurers and reinsurers are affected, JP Morgan said. We believe this means these risk providers will all try to recoup their loss with higher pricing at the Asia renewals, it added. JP Morgan's survey has found that Japan insurance companies have lost about $11.25 billion from Thai floods compared to $1.75 billion for reinsurance and $1.72 billion for European and other insurance companies. This adds to an insured-reinsured loss estimate of $13 billion from the Thai floods. But JP Morgan said the total may be higher for insurance coverage provided directly, not via the Japan insurers or Thai reinsurance, at about $1 to $2 billion.
And for the national logistics update, we zoom our picture to the Port Authority of Thailand, or the PAT, who is ready to launch the second phase of the EGAT project at both Bangkok Port and Lam Chabang Port on March the 1st. PAT Director Chalerm Chai Mi Kun Iem said yesterday that the first phase started last October. The second phase will see the expansion of service to more gates at both ports. With the electronic service, vehicles entering the ports can use cash cards to pay the EGAT fee instead of cash. After users register with PAT, they can use the service at both ports, they can hold more than one card, and they can share accounts. The system was introduced to improve operating efficiency at the ports. Those applying for the cards next month will enjoy a waiver of card issuance fee. But this privilege will be limited for the first 10,000 users at each port. PAT has spent 200 million baht on the EGAT system and 1 billion baht on the information technology infrastructure to support the system, which is part of its e-port policy to upgrade its operation to meet the International Ship and Port Facilities Security Code.
The Electricity Generating Authority of Thailand, or EGAT, is set to invest 32.93 billion baht on a new 600 megawatt power plant to replace the number 4 to 7 generators at its Mammoth power plant. EGAT Governor Sutat Pathamasiriwat said yesterday that the 4 generators were decommissioned in 2009 but were still in use. The project will be financed 70% from loans and the rest from internal cash flow. It will also need 284 million baht for the transmission system for the new plant. The new coal-fired plant will be located at the Mammoth plant site in Lampang. It is expected to burn 8,500 tons of lignite coal per day, or 2.64 million tons per year. The 4 expired generators consume 3 million tons of coal per year. The new plant will have an expected life of 30 years and is due to start feeding power to the grid in 6 years. Last July, EGAT engaged with Team Consulting Engineering and Management to conduct the environmental and health impact assessment for the new plant. The report will be completed this September. The number 4 to 13 generators of the Mammoth plant, with combined capacity of 2.4 gigawatts, are still in operation, but number 8 to 13 will expire in 5 years. The state enterprise will see what kind of power plant will be built to replace the 6 generators. EGAT is also reviewing suitable locations in provinces along the Gulf of Thailand and the Andaman Sea for 9 coal-field plant projects with 800 megawatts of capacity each.
As the news stands out, we would jump to one international issue before we take a break. The U.S., Chinese and Japanese officials say they will press the Euro area countries to do more merit outside help when the world's largest economies gather tomorrow for a meeting dominated by Europeans' sovereign debt woes, just days after Greece secured the second bailout. European officials will push other group of 20 nations, or G20, to commit fresh cash to the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, to help defuse the region's fiscal crisis, while the Obama administration says Europe now must first strengthen its firewall to prevent debts of countries such as Italy and Portugal from becoming unsustainable. G20 finance ministers and central bank governors meet in Mexico City 4 days after the European Union sanctioned a 130 billion euro rescue for Greece, and amid warnings by the IMF that concerns about debt sustainability could drag the world into another recession. While China, Japan, Brazil, and the Mexican hosts say they are willing to help once Europe acts, the U.S. shows no signs of reaching for its checkbook. Jacob Kirkgard, a research fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics in Washington, said in an interview that Europe will implicitly be the main political topic of the conversation in the lens of what will it take to get more contributions to the IMF. With demand from the European Union's 500 million consumers slowing, China and Japan have signaled a commitment to help resolve Europe's debt woes. The condition is that Europe make more efforts to create a bigger firewall, Japanese Finance Minister Jun Atsumi said February 20th in Beijing. Japan is considering contributing $50 billion to the IMF's European rescue package. The Asahi newspaper reported on February the 23rd without saying where it obtained the information. Lael Brainard, the Treasury's Undersecretary for International Affairs, told U.S. lawmakers this month the U.S. administration has been clear with its international partners that it is not seeking additional funding for the IMF. The U.S. wants additional steps to be taken by Europe to strengthen the firewall, Jay Carney, White House press secretary, told reporters in Washington on February the 21st.